What is up, everybody, and welcome back to SEC After Dark. And looks like we got Hammer in right on time as the show starts. He was trying to get in about 2 or 3 minutes early, and the camera just wasn't working. But I'm Jake Thomas. With me is Mike Huseman and Hammer. Guys, how y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Yeah, glad to be here. Sad I had to take last week off due to some COVID, but glad to be back.
Oh gosh, yeah. Hammer, how are you, sir?
Man, yeah, I'm doing good. It was it was a good weekend, good week with the draft.
Uh-oh, we lost your audio. We lost your audio. Yeah. I think we lost him.
Hammer, I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Hammer. Oh, this is awesome show so far.
The Aggies did have a good draft, though, to his point of view. They, especially on the defensive front, it's one of the random thoughts that popped into my head as we got midway through the second round was, whoa, Jimbo Fisher recruited a lot of really good guys, and look how that turned out. Yeah,
he recruited a lot of good guys, and he got fired over it.
He did.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It just shows that coaching still matters. You can get all the players in the world, but you still have to coach them up.
Yeah, and they've not been more than an 8-win.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hammer, how's your audio now?
It's good now. I don't know what's going on, but
okay.
No, we're good.
Let's just pray that it stays good the rest of the show.
Yeah. Corey might be on later on, might not, but I believe from what we've been told is next week we're going to have Steve back, we'll have Jeb back, we'll have a full crew, depending if Boss Man or Hammer both gets on, but we should be back to full strength here next week. We got Rick and Bonnie in. Hammer, you brought up about the draft. I want to ask y'all a question real quick. Did y'all envision Shedeur dropping as far as he did to the 5th round, or was that kind of a shock to y'all?
That far was a shock for me. I had expected going in that he would probably get picked in the 35 to 50 range.
Mm-hmm.
No chance I thought that he would fall as far as he did.
Yeah, it was insane. And, I told my wife during the draft when I was watching, and they picked, the Browns picked him in the 5th round. They got Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, and now they got like 8 quarterbacks on their roster. And I'm like, it almost feels like ESPN called the Browns and said, look, you've got to draft this guy so we can get Mel Kiper to quit losing his mind on live TV. I mean, he was, I don't know, Mel Kiper, I ain't never seen that side of Mel Kiper before.
Yeah. The interesting side to that is there's also the flip side of him falling, and the media attention that surrounded it was also very good for ratings. So they were also incentivized to keep it going because it made everybody tune in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Hammer, what's your initial thoughts?
I agree with you. Bossman and I were talking about this on our show last night. Like, I wonder if Mel, just because he's been in the industry so long, and Dion obviously has been around the game for so long, if they have a relationship, because otherwise, I've never seen an analyst get so upset about a player, not being drafted. And when he started going off about the NFL doesn't know how to evaluate quarterbacks, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, kind of nobody does. Like, you can go back and look at Mel Kiper's record of guys he, said were surefire hits, and it's like, dude, nobody gets these right 100% of the time.
Right.
I also, to that, we've seen that notion a bit. I came across an interesting one. It was either Tuesday or yesterday, and it was in response to the NFL doesn't evaluate QBs well. 29 of the 32 starters were top 50 draft picks. That means they're probably doing okay in evaluating. Now, granted, you could say the guys getting picked higher get way more chances than everybody else, which is true. Like there's a few parts of that, but most of the starters are getting picked pretty high. So
yeah. I mean, Cam Ward's going to come in and probably challenge day 1 starter, honestly, at Tennessee. So,
I would think so.
I would still have Will Levis start the season, let him learn a little bit before, you throw him in action.
I think I would too. Yeah.
No.
Especially
because Tennessee's just not that good. So like,
Right.
that part of what I was saying is you're anticipating you're not winning games next year anyway, even with him.
Right.
And,
And I think they get their.
You'd mentioned all the QBs with Cleveland.
Oh,
They have
God.
5 of them, and they're probably going to start 40-year-old Joe Flacco in week 1. I really think they will.
Probably so. Because
Yeah.
who knows with Deshaun Watson right now if he's going to
Yeah.
play at all next year or not?
Yeah, it could be one of the. I mean, he has the most talent, has done the most, but they don't really want him around anymore. And next year he's going to be a Russell Wilson situation as last year with Denver, where when it gets to a certain date or they're eliminated, they're not going to play him because you can't have him hurt past that roster date because they don't want him anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
It's become the sideshow and headache that just has to end for them, really.
Yeah. I heard on that note on the Shador pick to Cleveland, their owner, what's his name? Jimmy Haslam. I mean, he's not been a good owner. Let's just be real about it. And I read some article that was, I don't know if it was just pure speculation or if they actually had a source inside the building, but they said the pick in the 5th round on Shador was a call from the owner saying, I don't care that we just picked Dylan Gabriel 2 rounds earlier. Like we're picking this guy because he's still available somehow in the 5th round, and we'll figure it out later, basically. And the coaching staff and the scouting staff was kind of like, all right, geez, okay, here we go.
Yeah, right. But you can't carry 5. You can't carry 5 quarterbacks into the season though, so somebody's going to have to get cut.
And it's a low risk pick at that point because
Right.
you're not out much. And if you're Haslam, that gets people watching on TV. That sells jerseys. That sells merchandise. That's the end game for a guy like that.
Yeah,
Right.
That's right.
The problem is it brings a ton of attention, but that comes good and bad because, whether it's Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett or whoever, like if somebody has a bad game, all ESPN and Fox is going to be talking about, and all the questions in the media are going to be, when is Shador going to start? When is Shador going to start? And that's tough on your team.
Yeah. That's a great point too, Hammer, because even though he was picked higher, it's not going to be, when are we going to see Dylan Gabriel? Nobody's going to be saying that.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was going to say. Everybody's going to be talking about Shador, but Dylan's going to be like, I got picked in the 3rd round. I got talent too. So when is my shot going to be? Nobody's going to talk about that. It's going to be all about Shador. And it's just a name, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like, Dion, and I would say mostly Dion. I mean, I haven't heard a ton of, Shador interviews. I know he had some like controversial things over the past couple of years at Colorado, but like in general, it just seems like, his team, whoever that consists of, like overplayed their hand in the sense of, not working out at the combine, not working out at the pro day, and like only interviewing with certain teams. It's like, dude, if you're not, I don't know, Peyton, Eli Manning, or Andrew Luck or somebody, like you don't dictate to the NFL how this is going to go, right? You have to play by their rules and, be humble and be eager for any opportunity, not, I'm not going to interview with you because I don't want to play for your franchise. Like, I think that just turned a lot of teams off. And again, the media stuff too. It's like he's kind of, pigeonholed himself, because if he's a backup wherever he goes, like there's just a ton of attention, like, like Tebow back in the day, right? Like you pick Tebow to be a backup, and then that's all anybody wants to talk about. And that it's just a weird spot to put your team. So I get why,
Johnny Manziel was
the first round.
Right.
Yeah. Like when he didn't get picked in the first round, then I got why he was sliding, because like, if you don't want him to be your day one, franchise guy, like it's just that's just a headache to deal with. Not even really like, not having anything to do with Shadur's talent or play, because I think he's pretty good, but just like, man, that's a circus you're bringing to town for a guy that is going to sit the bench.
Yeah.
And if you have an entrenched starter, you probably don't want the sideshow in town for that. And especially for that starting QB who you've invested a lot into, he's going to be hearing it, you know, in the media if you lose a few games, whether it's his fault or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's throw this scenario out there because we've talked about it. But okay, take Tennessee. They pick Cam Ward #1 overall, and you know, let's just say Will Levis does start, and they like I said, they pick Cam Ward. But say in the 4th or 5th round, like the Browns did, they got Shadur. You would probably still hear people say when we're going to start Shadur over Cam Ward, even though he was the #1 pick and the one that the Titans had thrown all the money at, you know, to be their franchise guy.
Totally. And you might even have Dion saying that, you know,
right.
Like you might even get Dion to say, when's my son going to start?
Right. It just seems like it's a bad situation for any team just because of the media aspect. You do have some good, and it like Mike, you said, it gives that team something to talk about in the media, but it's just a lot of negativity as well around Shadur because of, I guess, his attitude. Because there was talks about his interviews, like you said, Hammer, going, you know, telling other teams that I'm not going to play for you, I'm not going to interview with you. So just a lot of negative vibes towards Shadur and this whole process.
Yeah, and to that notion, the pendulum is swung so far the other way because of how intense the media is now.
Yeah,
we are now expecting way more of him than we do of other 5th-round picks. Most 5th-round picks aren't starters. They don't hit. They're not going to be elite Pro Bowl guys with long careers. A lot of people expect him to be a guy like that, and that's probably unfair to him.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Brady was picked in the 6th round. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Tom Brady, but there's a chance that he could be very valuable for a team in the future.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's pretty good. Like I felt like, you know, in that first round, obviously Tennessee was set on Ward, and then, you know, the Browns just obviously wanted to roll with Flacco or wanted to go a different direction. But I thought the Giants might pick him, you know, and then they trade up and get Dart, and I just looked at that as like, hey, you know, like they just like Dart better, right? Like I think that was kind of a 50-50, like, okay, the Giants need a quarterback. They're gonna try to get one early. And at the end of the day, whether it was the interview or just, you know, on-field play or whatever, like they just wanted Dart. And once that domino fell, it was kind of like, okay, you know, either it's going to be Cleveland in the 2nd, or again, he's going to fall because nobody wants him to be their backup.
The Saints in the 2nd round were one that I thought may have happened too.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah,
since we're talking about
the Dart in him, like that kind of made, you know, that made sense. Like I wouldn't have taken either from the 1st round probably, but after Dart went 2nd, or, you know, was the 2nd QB, like it'll be tough for anybody to convince me there was a 3rd QB better than Sanders. Like I'm not buying that at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I like Shuck more than a lot of people. Still not buying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about the draft, let's talk about some of the SEC guys that got picked. You know, you had Will Campbell going 4th to New England. They need some help. So you know, what do y'all think about that pick?
I'm actually way lower on Campbell than most people. I think there's a decent chance he ends up at guard.
Okay.
But
that's fair.
Another SEC. I love Membu though. I would have taken Membu if I was them. I'm high on him.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, we'll see what happens. Like with any of these guys, it's hard to predict. But if you're in the Patriots position, right, they've got Drake May. They had a terrible offensive line. Like you knew they were going O-line. So again, just a preference pick. You know, one of the picks, just being an Aggie, that I don't know if surprised me is the right word because he was mocked all over the 1st round, but Shamar Stewart going 17 to the Bengals, like I don't know, man. He's super athletic. He was a 5-star. He tested super well at the combine, but man, the guy just never produced much of anything in 3 years at A&M. So like, I guess
he's also one of those guys like going into the combine. You're like, oh, Shamar Stewart's probably going to dominate here because that's the kind of athlete he is. He's going to dominate tests like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, again, it's hard to say it surprised me because he was mocked, in the first round a lot, but I'm just interested to see how that plays out because, sometimes there are guys like that, right, that physically look the part and have everything and just never get it done. And, hopefully that won't be him, but so far that's been his, what he's put on tape is just pretty average.
Yeah.
3 SEC O linemen going in the top 10. And one of the guys I kind of felt like this draft process was unkind to was Kelvin Banks. In watching him for multiple years, he was a dude from day one. I thought, and going into the season earlier on, we thought he would probably be a top 5 pick. Somehow 2 other tackles jump ahead of him, whether that's right or wrong. But I felt like people got pickier with Banks than they did with Membu or Campbell, and were pointing out flaws in him more than they were with those other 2.
I agree. He's been solid his entire career at Texas. So.
Yeah, I mean, you come in and, he's a starter from day one. You come in as a true freshman and start in the SEC. I guess he had 1 year in the Big 12, but still, that dude, he can play.
He can. Yeah. I'll tell you one of the shocks, and I mean, they got a good player, but Tyler Booker going so high, especially the Cowboys. I know they, Jerry Jones, for some reason, loves these offensive, linemen. He picks one. They end up being Hall of Famers, so maybe there's something there, but it feels like the Cowboys needed help, everywhere else instead of at the O line position. But Tyler Booker is going to be a good player for him. He's a workhorse. He loves football. I mean, it's obvious, and he talks a big game, but he's got to work on his feet in the pass formations. But as a run blocker, dude, he's a mauler. So
he's an elite run blocker.
Yeah, he's going to be a really good run blocker. He's got to work on his pass protection, but other than that, he's solid. I just think it's kind of a reach for at number 12. I thought he might have been 17 to 22 somewhere in there, but
I mean, if you're taking, I had to talk with one of my good buddies is a full-time draft analyst, and we had to talk about that exact topic, Jake. And if you're taking a guard that high, they have to almost be a Hall of Fame or near Hall of Fame career to warrant to pick that high. And that's that's a really high bar to clear.
It is. Yeah. I mean, not everybody's going to be a Hall of Fame in this draft, and you never know how this is going to pan out.
Yeah.
But I really like Walter Nolan going to the Cardinals. Jalen Walker, he didn't really have to leave home. He's sitting with Falcons. That's a good pick.
I like the Jahdae Barron pick a lot. Very versatile. Yeah. I think he'll be a good NFL player for the Broncos.
Yep, I agree with that. What about the Giants? I feel like reaching for Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall what they gave up, to move back up into the first round, but I do think you're right, Jake, just in the sense of that to me felt like a classic, we need a quarterback and we're worried that by the time we come up next, Dart isn't going to be there. And so they wanted him. And so they just, basically went all in, reached for him. Because I'm with you. I'm nothing against Jackson Dart, but, for him to not only be in the first round, but also traded up, you're giving up more picks on the back end to get him is pretty hefty.
Yeah, it is.
The Giants gave up a second and 2/3 to move up 9 picks. So Houston got 3 picks and moved down 9 spots.
Wow.
Dang.
And with that, and they took Jaden Higgins. Iowa State with that. I knew it was a receiver.
Yeah.
That seems like a classic, we're going to reach for a quarterback and hope he pans out because I mean, it's just, to me, that offense that Kiffin runs and a lot of people run, doesn't have a great track record of translating to the NFL. So maybe Dart can make it work, but that was an interesting move for sure.
And my thought there, on your roster, you have Winston and Wilson, neither of
Yep.
whom is going to be the long-term career guy. But if you're maybe not going to be great next year, this year is not the year to reach on a QB. Probably going to be a better crop of QBs next year. Now, the realist in me would say Brian Dable can't do that. He will get fired if they're not good next year. So he doesn't have that luxury.
Yeah.
But really, if you're reaching at that point, that guy Dart is probably not a starter anyway this year. So it doesn't really matter anyway at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think they're banking on him to start. I mean, maybe late in the year, but they've got two guys that have 10 plus years of NFL experience on the roster. He's probably not going to play that much.
Yeah, it's just odd that they gave up what they did to get him. And I mean, I think Jackson Dart would have been there in the second round, honestly, especially just 9 picks below that.
I
kind of do too,
Cleveland wouldn't have taken a QB there.
No.
Cleveland had 2 picks. I don't know that they would have taken one with either. And none of the other teams there were going to take a QB. Man.
Right. And then below that, Houston traded that pick. So everybody below Houston in the draft already has an established quarterback, so they don't need it. They're going to fill elsewhere. Yeah. So you got to worry about him going to somewhere else in the first round. So I just feel like that they could have got him there 9 more spots below than where they picked him up at.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants, you brought it up, Mike, it's Daboll, but it's also their GM's job's on the line because he obviously messed up with Saquon. And I can't even remember, but I know that from that Hard Knocks, off season, there was talk last year around. I don't know if they would have had to trade up or what the deal was, but they wanted to, or there was talk that they should have not paid Daniel Jones and then drafted Jaden Daniels or somebody high last year. They did not do that. Daniel Jones, flames out. They lose Saquon, so that GM he's on thin ice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, great. I will say though, good point. Neighbors, who they took last year, probably going to be a stud. So hopefully they can get a guy to throw him the ball.
Right.
It's wild to me with the Giants how when Jones was young, Daboll's first year as head coach, went to the playoffs, beat my Vikings in the playoffs, good season. Then they've done nothing since then. Just progressed totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like Daniel Jones' career hinged on him not tripping over his own feet when he got that breakaway and should have had a touchdown. And after that, it's just been downhill since.
Yeah, that's true. I liked this is a little bit later. I think this was late second round, but I liked the Chargers picking up Trey Harris. I think, if he can stay healthy, he's a good player. And Herbert, Herbert is a good quarterback. Harbaugh's a good coach. I think that'll be a good fit, again, as long as he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
The one I liked around that time was Nick Scarton, A&M guy.
Yeah.
Going to the Panthers.
Yeah, that was another one, man, that, he had a great couple of years at Purdue. Just had a decent year at A&M. And I think
was he 1 or 2 years at A&M?
Just this past year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, just, physically, he looks the part. He's got everything that you would want. And yeah, to get him in the second round, I think is pretty good value.
Yeah, I agree. Luther Burden going to the Bears. I think, they're going to get a good player there. Him and Brady Cook pretty much for that entire offense from Missouri last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I guess the Bears, they're doing, I guess, what they should, right? Just putting weapons around Caleb. But they've got, they picked up Adunze last year early. They've got, I can't remember the guy's name, but they traded for him out of Carolina. Yeah, I can't remember. And then they picked a tight end, I think, round 1. So they're just loading up on offense.
Is DJ Moore the guy you're thinking of, Hammer?
Yeah, DJ Moore.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So they got DJ Moore, Adunze. Now they got Luther Burden, and then they picked up, I think it was Loveland out of Michigan in the first round.
And they got him at 10, and then Cole Kmet's already a pretty good tight end. So
yeah,
they are doing what they can to get Caleb rocking.
Right, which I guess makes sense with their new head coach, the Detroit OC.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Ben
obviously
Johnson.
offensive guy. So there's a pick that surprised me. I'll bring up in the third round. I brought this up last night on our show, but the Arkansas wideout, Isaac Tesla, going in the third round to Detroit. You know, that's another guy, again, that just like didn't have much production in college. And so, you know, when you see somebody get drafted, you're like, okay, I guess, you know, what are they seeing here? Because, like, I mean, I know Arkansas offensively the last couple of years with, was it Dan Enos getting run out of town, and then, you know, a new system under Petrino, but like Tesla never did much of anything. So I was surprised to see him go that high.
He was a guy, and, you know, even the guy that I'm buddies with, like, who's at, they were way higher on it. Like, some of the people in that community, super high on him. And it's one of those, you wonder, what do they see that wasn't translating to production at Arkansas?
Yeah.
I like it. Iman Rory going to Seattle was a good pick, I thought. Early second round. He's a guy who, there are limitations. You know, he's definitely going to be a in-box player, not a deep safety, but he is good at that.
Yep.
Very good in the run game. Yeah.
I got a question for y'all. You know, Seattle picked, Jalen Milroe in the third round. Do you think they push him to continue developing as a quarterback? And do you think they're going to use his athleticism and just try to find a way to get him on the field when he's ready and use him elsewhere, maybe like an H-back or a slot receiver or something?
It's, from what I've been hearing, they plan on using him early in Wildcat situations, but want him to develop as a QB.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, you know, people have been saying for years, right? Athletically, he's an NFL player, NFL talent. It's just, is it at QB, or would he be better off kind of changing positions? But
Well, we lost your audio again, Hammer. But we lost your audio, Hammer. But I think he's if he can develop, he's going to be a fairly decent quarterback. He's got all the athleticism. It's just he's got to read coverages better, and he's got to look off. If his first option isn't there, he's got to learn to look and look at the field and find somebody that's open.
Yeah, things he's never really been asked or had to do in college.
Yeah, correct. So
Trey Amos was one. Commanders took him.
That was a good pickup.
I think that was late. So I forget if that was late second or early third, but it was around that time. I thought that was a solid pick, though.
Yeah.
And he went around the same time as Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee. And that pick surprised me because I felt like he was a guy, we hadn't seen him play a ton of football, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, you're right. Jacquez Hunter going the fourth round to the Rams. I think that was a good spot for him. So they got a good player. I mean, we talk about how good Jacquez is, and you know, was underutilized in college especially last year. So and I mean, he's honestly, he's still got fresh legs. So he's going to come in. He's going to be, you know, I think I don't know who they got at running back, but he could, you know, be a guy that they can rely on, you know, and later into the season, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I'm high on him. You know, Jake, as you said, we talked about it all season. Like, it felt like when he would get the ball, you know, a lot in Auburn games, they would win. And then when they would lose, you'd look at the box score and he would have, you know, 10 carries and Peyton Thorne would have thrown the ball 35 times. And you're like, well, no wonder they lost.
I know. It's weirdest thing.
He could be a good change-up. Kyron Williams is their running back who has been good the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And then they have Corum. Corum from Michigan was a rookie last year.
Yep.
But I
He could be a good third down back for sure.
Yeah, a guy who we just talked about Arkansas. With Tesla not being sure about him. I thought Landon Jackson was a very good value pick for the Bills. Him slipping to the third round.
Yeah,
I didn't expect that to happen. And, he could be a good guy for the Bills.
Yep,
for sure. And they need pass rush help, so
Yeah.
I think he'll be pretty much starting right away.
What about, was it Shamir Dyke, the wide receiver from Florida going to Tennessee? I don't know what kind of year he had last year, but it looks like they're trying to give Cam Ward hell, because later on in that same round they got Gunnar Ham, tight end out of Texas. So looks like they're trying to bulk up on the offense side of the ball.
Yeah, Dyke went right at. So the Vikings picked Felton, the receiver from Maryland. Dyke went the very next pick. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what his stats were last year.
Yeah.
42 catches for 783 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
So 42, and not bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, not bad, especially with the quarterback, issues that Florida had last year between Mertz getting hurt and Lagway getting hurt and all that.
Yep. Arian Smith went in the 4th round to the Jets. Looks like they're loading up on wide receiver. They probably got a good one there. Trevor Etienne went this round as well. He went to the Panthers. Very good pick. So
Danny Stutzman went that round. Oklahoma linebacker.
Yep. There was Baron Sorrell, edge rusher from Texas, went to the Packers. Kyle Kennard, I think the Chargers got another steal right there. I think Kyle Kennard's he's going to be really good in the NFL.
Yeah, he was a problem.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah, him and Dylan Stewart were fun to watch last year for my point of view.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then Dylan Sampson went the pick right after Kennard. I think he could be a running back that carves out a niche in the NFL.
Yeah, Brown's got a good one. Looks like there was 3 different trades. It was Minnesota, went to Jacksonville, and then Cleveland got it from Jacksonville at that round. So,
yeah, Brown's got Judkins and Sampson at running back in the draft.
Good not. Well, they can't figure out who their quarterback's going to be. They just run the ball.
Right.
Yeah. I think Malachi Moore went around that time in the draft too.
He went to the Jets as well. He went
Jets. Okay, I forgot who drafted him. Yeah.
Yeah, went to the Jets. Q Robinson went that round. I think Q Robinson would, if he would have not got hurt mid-season, he probably would have been in the second round, third round. He's but he got injured like 4th or 5th game in and didn't get to play the rest of the year. But he's a very special talent.
Tonka Hemingway was one of the compensatory picks at the end of that round.
Yep, that's right.
D lineman. Yeah.
Jordan Watkins as well went to the 49ers. That was another.
Forgot about him.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. Good pickup. That was up the 4th round. But I mean, SEC was very, very well represented for sure. 5th round, the first 2 picks. Tyron Ingram Dawkins from Georgia went to the Vikings.
Georgia. Yeah.
Yep. And then Cam Jackson from Florida, defensive tackle, went to the Carolina Panthers. So,
I think I saw it was.
Say the SEC, I think, wasn't it 79? Like broke the record, 79 picks, and beat the Big Ten by 8 picks, I think, and the Big Ten's got 2 more teams. So
wow.
I think I saw in the first round, out of the 32 picks, it was either 24 or 26 of them were SEC or Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was 26. I saw that too.
Yeah.
And I think 15 were SEC.
Yeah.
So nearly half were SEC.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's interesting too, because for that high number, 3 of the top 6 were not in either of those 2, because you had Ward, Hunter, and GT all, different conferences.
Yeah.
Ray Zabel was the only FCS guy. He went first round.
Yeah, SEC, man. It's all about football.
I know. I'm excited though. You bring up GT. I'm excited to see him in Oakland. I feel like
Yeah.
that guy's he's just fun to watch. And I mean, it's Pete Carroll, so they're going to run the ball. So I feel like he's going to get a lot of touches. Hopefully they don't run him into the ground, but he's definitely going to be featured a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Who's their quarterback?
Gino
Gino, that's right.
Yeah, Gino followed him from Seattle. Yeah.
So
right.
Could be that could be a fun offense too for Mayer and Bowers, because if you're going to use 12 personnel block for GT, those guys could get a lot of play action stuff though, and that'll be good for them and Gino in working.
Absolutely.
Off of GT running the ball.
Yeah.
Raiders may be good in a few years.
Yeah, they could be.
They very well. Hey, they may be good next year.
Yeah, and I guess I trust Carroll to turn him around too. Not a lot of guys better at the game than he is.
Man, you think about Pete Carroll. I mean, he is one play away from winning, a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean,
would have been the second in a row. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many guys win a Super Bowl and a national title. That's elite company.
It is.
Yeah, I know. What did y'all think about Quinn Ewers going in the 7th to Miami?
I think it's a good spot for him. Like schematically, those crosser mid-level throws, it plays to his strengths. I think the way they throw the ball around.
Yeah, and
with Tua always hurt.
Say this, but Tua keeps getting hurt, so it seems like it's a good spot for him to maybe get some PT if Tua can't stay healthy.
Yeah,
and I will be curious who wins that backup job, if it's Ewers or Zach Wilson, who they signed in the offseason.
Sorry, I forgot they signed Zach Wilson.
Yeah, and you almost wonder if in fall camp, if Ewers ends up being the backup, do you just cut Wilson to not pay that salary since you're going to have Ewers on a rookie deal at 2? I don't know if it makes sense to keep Wilson if he's the third guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, that was crazy though. Did y'all see the report? So it was about Ewers, he got offered supposedly $8 million in the transfer portal, and then goes in the 7th round. It's like, dang, that's a pretty big pay cut.
Yeah.
I had a chat with someone kind of about that, and they were a Texas fan, and that basically their hypothesis was he didn't want to, ruin his legacy and hurt that in the eyes of Texas fans by playing 1 year in college at Miami, Notre Dame, Oregon, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the truth. I don't know. It's the only way I can explain it, because he would have been one of the elite portal guys. I mean, we mentioned Miami. They went out and got Carson Beck. Ewers is the kind of guy that they would have talked to probably had he been in the portal. And I never thought of that person's, viewpoint of how he thought about his legacy, but maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, it definitely I know the fan base since Arch got to campus has been wanting Arch to start and hasn't been all in on Ewers, but over time, I think he'll be remembered very favorably there as the guy that took them to 2 straight college football playoffs, brought them back.
Yeah.
And that was my rebuttal. It's like, okay, you don't want this guy to play somewhere else, but you also don't want him to start for you next year either. You don't get it both ways there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They clearly have moved on and had by the end of last season.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. But yeah, I mean, I agree though with you, Mike. I think for him, sucks that he went in the 7th round and didn't get picked up a lot earlier. But in terms of where he could go, it seems like it's a pretty good fit. And at the end of the day, he was in college for 4 years. He battled injuries. He might have just been I'm done with this. I want to go pro and see what happens, type of deal.
And we're talking a different wealth level now with the NFL, but he's also a guy that's probably already financially stable for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
True.
So
Yeah. And like you mentioned, Hammer, whoever wins that backup job to Tua is probably gonna get some playing time because at this point Tua is made of glass. He's got uber talent. He just cannot stay healthy enough, and he's gonna be out for at least 2 or 3 weeks of a season every single year, maybe more. So either Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers, whoever wins that backup job, is going to see some playing time in Miami next year.
yeah.
Right.
So, Mike, you had a little interesting little thing that you was talking about. Top 10 wide receivers. Was that it that you had?
Yeah.
Or running
Well,
back?
Saturday Down South did a list of for the post spring ball top 10 running backs and top 10 receivers. I made a graphic for.
Yeah, let's look at these.
I will.
And I looked at the running back one and I forgot that. Yeah.
Are you guys seeing my screen?
I am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. The parenthesis ones are if they portaled this year and where they were at last year.
Right.
Like for Ott and Hardy. So.
Wow. Nate Frazier at 4. I don't know anything
that
about,
was my.
Yeah,
I mean, in reading the article, one thing I didn't realize with Frazier was he did run for more touchdowns last year than any returning SEC running back, which I wouldn't have thought. But
yeah,
they also said how long it's been since Kirby had a 1,000-yard rusher too. So
yeah, that's true. But look at Texas. Texas got the number 1 guy and the number 10 guy. I mean, if those 2 guys, if they can get going early on, it's going to really help Arch settle in. So, they can rely on those 2 guys early on if they need to.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, honestly, I look at this list and I just kind of think that there's not really a ton of established backs returning in the SEC because Wisner, he had a couple really, really good games late, but, he didn't do anything early in the year because he was like 3rd string. And Texas lost, I could be wrong here, but I think it was 4 offensive linemen off of last year's team. So they're going to have a very different, offensive line blocking for him as opposed to what they had a year ago. So he's talented and he runs super hard, but for him to be the top back, I'm like, dang, are we really, are we really like kind of that weak coming into the year? I'm sure some guys will merge, but like coming into the year, we just don't have anybody who's like super established.
That was one of the main points I had, made a thought was if we would do this for every position, I feel like we would look at this running back group and say, for the SEC, that's a pretty uninspired group here. Like there's nobody that pops off the screen right here.
Yeah.
The one I'm very excited, I'm excited to see Ahmad Hardy. He was very good at ULM, and especially going to Mizzou where they're going to be breaking in a new QB that, Pribula transferred from Penn State, but never been a long-term starter. Drink is going to want to run the ball a lot, so I'm curious how Hardy will do, especially behind an O-line that lost guys. Members obviously was picked high and stuff like that.
What about Faison?
Gamecocks had to get someone, to replace Rocket Sanders. Faison very good at Utah State last year, and he was a late portal in. Similar to, he was a guy that benefited from the Pavia rule because he had spent a JUCO year and thought he was out of eligibility at the end of the season. But then when they did the JUCO ruling, he got a year back. So I think he'll be a guy, another team who their O-line has to get better, both for him and Sellers. But I think he fits their offense pretty well. Like the style of running back who Beamer has had, Faison will fit that.
Okay. Yeah. Hammy, you feel like Le'Veon Moss is going to have a good year?
I think so. I mean, he was really effective last year before the injury. I guess it's just one of those things that, and I haven't heard anything. I know, obviously he missed all of spring ball with the ACL. So most of the time anymore, that's not a, devastating injury that guys don't come back from. But at the same time, I think where he's at is fair just because it was pretty late in the year and it was pretty bad. I mean, at least the way it looked. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if early in the year he's not even working, getting a ton of work, maybe 5 to 10 carries until they really get into SEC play, just to try to make sure he's 100% and save his legs a little bit for late in the year because, when he's in there, he was great, but that's just a kind of a scary injury. So I'm excited to see him, but I think where he's at is totally fair.
Devon Booth will be an interesting one. They were tough to watch last year. I mean, not winning games in the conference. So, late in games, they were never running the ball. Hopefully this year that they can run more and, be more competitive. But if they're not, you wonder what his workload will look like. But I think the talent is there.
If this is, what was his last name? Jaden Brawl?
Yes,
Florida.
Bow.
So if he pans out, you've got a 1-2 punch there with DJ Lagway and Brow. So I mean that's looking good for Florida. If you're a Florida fan, you hope that they both pop off this year because honestly, I feel like Florida's got to win at least 8 games to save Billy's job this year.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they need him. I mean, Lagway should be good. It seemed I saw some news he was at least throwing because I know he's been dealing with his shoulder. But they'll need a guy to tote the rock and be a feature back. I think for them to get to 8 wins because the schedule's the same, just flipping home and home. So they don't have any easier path.
No.
And the good Billy Napier teams from Louisiana Lafayette, they were way more run heavy than passing the ball. So he does want to run the ball.
He's got a good one. So
Sweet.
Caden Durham, how do y'all think he's gonna have this year?
I don't know if I'd put him this high on the list, but I like him.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Mike. I like him. I think he's good, and he showed some stuff late last season. But since Brian Kelly got to LSU, and even towards the tail end of Ed O, they just haven't run the ball well at all.
Right.
So
they have not.
Even if the kid's super talented, which I think he is, I kind of got to see them be able to run block effectively before I just assume that he's going to be that high up in the rankings. That's a little high for me.
I agree. Would you probably flip Nate Frazier and Caden there? Probably.
Honestly,
I think I like.
I might put Ott number 2, even though he's
okay.
New. I think Ott's good.
They got a good guy there. I mean, Oklahoma loaded up at running back and quarterback in the portal. So Oklahoma may be a scary team next year if they can get everything together offensive line wise.
Yeah, the schedule's a bear too, but it's going to be in the conference. Yeah,
right.
But they should be much improved. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice little list. Did you make the wide receiver one as well, Mike?
Here we are. Yeah. Williams at 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cam Coleman number 2. I can see that.
Yeah.
But
the one that I would flip here, I like Concepcion a lot. Branch was the mega recruit coming in, but Concepcion's been a better college player. When he was at NC State, I might have him a little higher on the list. One thing I noticed with both of these lists too, they were very unkind to the transfer portal guys. You didn't see him putting them in the top 5 in either list, and I don't know that that's realistic. Anderson and Singleton are both good players too.
Yeah, I think Singleton. Honestly, Singleton. I guess again we'll see how it pans out. But I think with Auburn needing to win this year for Freeze, and with Cam Coleman being the guy who's going to get a lot of attention, I think Singleton could have a pretty big year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Arnold can get it to him, that's the big question mark.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kevin
Coleman will be another, at Mizzou, we expect him to be the, new Luther Burden guy. We're playing in the slot. This will be his fourth college in 4 years. But,
yeah.
Talented player.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm interested to see Branch at Georgia too, Mike. Like you mentioned, big time recruit, and he had like flashes at USC, but it's kind of a red flag to me, right? That like it didn't work out in a Lincoln Riley offense, and you're going to Kirby Smart's offense that doesn't historically produce big numbers at wideout. Like I'm very interested to see how that works out.
And we
keep him out of a vehicle.
We still almost think of him, like you talk about those flashes too. It was a lot of special team stuff and not necessarily even things on offense that he's done.
Yeah.
Trey Wilson's a good player. You could probably argue he should be higher on the list, but I think 5 is fair. I mean, this list is a lot better qualitatively than the running back list. These are good players on this list, and Wilson's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, you got talent on this list. The last list, you got some players, and I mean they could end up being talented, but this one, Ron Williams, Cam Coleman, when they get ready to leave, they're going to be the top 2, wide receiver, top 3 wide receivers. I've got Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State. They're going to be high up in the draft, so they're very talented. Aaron Anderson as well.
Yeah.
So looks like we lost Tamer again, but
okay. Yeah. I'm on the big screen or the slide, so I can't see you guys. But
there we go.
Yeah, I mean Williams. It's one of those. I saw the list and I'm like, should Ryan Williams really be one? And it's really tough to argue he shouldn't be. I mean the things he did last year were so impressive. I mean him and Coleman both look like they have staying power and are guys who can be, shoulder the burden of being a number 1 receiver at this level and maybe in the NFL too.
A guy is not on this list, and maybe he shouldn't be. And I'm not trying to be a homer here, but Jeremy Bernard, I really thought he had a good year at Alabama last year.
Actually, for the receiver list, they had an honorable mention, and Bernard was on the list.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I was gonna, bring this point up about Williams, but it stands for Bernard as well, and that's presumably Alabama's going to have a better quarterback this year, at least throwing the ball.
Right.
Like not to throw shade on Milroe, but he struggled a lot last year through the air. So whether it's
So
we lost his audio again. It's been a fun show.
The 4 honorable mention guys they had, Jake, were Noah Thomas, Georgia, Deion Burks, Oklahoma, Ryan Wingo, Texas, and Bernard, Alabama.
Okay.
And Wingo's an uber talented guy too that was a massive recruit coming out.
Yeah, you're right. Hammer, we lost your audio again, but that's a good list. And one thing about Alabama, another guy, in the transfer portal this offseason, they got Isaiah Horton from Miami. So they have 3 really good, wide receivers. Again, the question is, can we find a quarterback to get them the ball? And so there was a rumor that – go ahead, Mike.
I would say one thing that'll help there is you probably have the best O-lineman in the country, so that'll be a positive with Proctor. Yeah.
That's true. There was a rumor that come out, and again, I'm just going to say this is a rumor, so just take it with a grain of salt. But the rumor that come out right around draft time, I think Mike Rodak on Twitter posted this, but he said there was people in Alabama's camp who told Milroe that if Milroe come back, that a lot of the skill position players was going to transfer out. So
okay. I didn't hear that one. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So, maybe the reason why Milroe decided to go ahead and go pro. So
yeah. So, I mean, if you're one of those guys and you're looking at how am I gonna showcase myself before the NFL, Milroe would not be the guy you would want doing that.
Right. I mean, again, he had flashes, but there's a lot that he's got to work on and everything. Henry, got your audio back now?
Yeah, I'm back. My audio keeps cutting out on me. I don't know what it's doing, but
man, you got to love those AOL discs.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We're trying to get through the hour here.
Yeah.
We'll make it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Polar Nights. Oh man, that's so good. Did y'all see that interview that he was trying to do, and his girlfriend was there, and the guy interviewed him and asked him and said, "Well, how did y'all meet?" And she's like, "No, we're not going to answer that." I'm like, "Wow, she's very controlling."
I know that whole like Bill Belichick getting hired by North Carolina was extremely interesting before the whole girlfriend saga came into the picture, but it's only become more interesting. Like, I am fascinated to see how that experiment goes.
Yeah, me too. It's very interesting for sure. Oh me, it's a good show. We still got 4 minutes, but
Eddie here's
she's like CC'd on all his emails.
Yeah, I did see that.
I didn't see that.
76 viewers. Eddie's wondering how are we paid? Well, we're not lighting the world on fire with the show, Eddie. That's how. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not paid. Not that I'm aware of. I've never seen a check from this show.
Nor have I.
So,
it's coming, but not.
It's coming, but not now. But
once get that steer money coming in.
Yeah. Tell your friends, Eddie, and then that's how we'll get. Tell everybody you know.
We did make it up to 100 views tonight, but
that's good.
Everything from what we've heard through our chat and everything. When we are going to have Steve back next week, Jeb will be back. Corey, I think he said this is his last soccer game, so he should be back. Okay. So we should be at full strength next week. We've got a lot more topics to talk about. Me and my cousin Stacey just got done doing the show on Tie Talk. We're back, and I don't know if it was Bet Online or FanDuel, but they come out with the win-loss of each SEC team. We could probably talk about that next week.
It's a very good. Yeah, I've been seeing some of those, and what did I comment on?
Yeah, one. As we get closer to football, there'll be.
I have them at 8 like that. That 8.5 is right where the number should be, because 8 or 9 is where you put it. So
yeah, we had a nice discussion. We can talk about that. I mean, we got tons of stuff coming up to get us to the off season. I'm sure there'll be more of these top 10 lists to come out. We'll talk about. I'm sure we'll get some insight from Steve and Corey about some of their players in the draft next week. We're just gonna.
We got 2. We're at the 2 minute.
We're at the 2 minute right now. So
right.
All right, guys. It's a good show. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. Mike Huseman, Hammer, guys. We appreciate it. Guys, just tell your everybody to like, share, and subscribe. Watch us every Wednesday or Thursday night now. We was on Wednesday night, but Thursday night. On Wednesday night, you can check out Biscuits and SEC. They do a great job. Have a great show. I watched. I actually had it in the background and one of my screens at work today. Listened to it. Really good show. So yeah. I just listen to podcasts all day, try to get through the hectic work schedule. But Mike, how's the off season After Dark? How's that coming along? Is it fixing to debut pretty soon, or?
I hope so. In the last week, I can't say I've gotten hardly any work done, just not feeling well, but I feel like should get off the ground pretty quick here. I've done a lot of work with the Canva to get the background stuff ready to go, and I think the next part will be actually planning some of the first few episodes of the content and who I'll have on as a guest and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, we're excited for that. Yeah. As you see, Bama After Dark, it's on its way as well. I'm still working on it behind the scenes. And then, of course, our flagship show on Wednesday night, like I said, Biscuit and SGC, Hammer and Bossman do a great job there. and we all, come together on Thursday night and bring you SEC at the dark. And that's, we just have a great time talking sports, talking ball, talk off the rails, just whatever we throw out there. We have, interesting topics and talk. And, I enjoy doing this with you guys. And, thank you all for listening. I'm Jake Thomas with Mike Hughesman, Hammer. We will see y'all on the next one. Next Thursday night, we'll be here probably with a full crew. So y'all get excited for that. Until then, we'll be back next Thursday night. This is SEC at the dark. Y'all have a great evening and good night.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Roll,
See you.
Roll Tide and
See you.
What's up?